Before you spend another penny, check the date, mint mark, and wait. One tiny error could turn an ordinary Lincoln cent into a coin collectors are desperate to find. A penny does not need to be old to become an exciting discovery. Sometimes the most easily overlooked coins are still sitting in pocket change, hiding unusual surfaces, missing details, dramatic strikes, or the wrong weight. The first coin in this three-part video is the 2014 United States Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it appears far too modern and common to deserve serious attention. Billions of Lincoln cents were produced during this period, and countless examples remain in circulation. But high-speed mass production creates opportunities for mistakes, and even a recent penny can become desirable when it displays a genuine and dramatic mint error. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln facing right. "In God We Trust" appears above his portrait, "Liberty" is positioned to the left, and the date 2014 appears in front of Lincoln's chest. Look directly below the date. A small d means the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. If no mint mark appears, it was produced in Philadelphia. The absence of a mint mark on the Philadelphia version is normal and should not be mistaken for an error. The reverse displays the Union Shield, introduced on Lincoln cents in 2010. Across the shield is a banner carrying the denomination 1 cent. Above it appears United States of America, and the national motto E Pluribus Unum is positioned near the top. The shield represents Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single, united country. The 13 vertical stripes symbolize the original states, while the horizontal bar represents the federal government holding them together. Now let us address the possible value of approximately $44,000. A normal 2014 penny is not worth anywhere near that amount. Most circulated examples remain worth only their face value, and even attractive uncirculated coins generally need exceptional quality to command a significant premium. A value around $44,000 would require something highly unusual, such as a spectacular authenticated minting error, an extremely rare wrong planchet strike, a major double strike, or another extraordinary characteristic combined with professional certification. Begin your examination with the date. Under magnification, inspect every number in 2014. Look for a second raised outline, notches at the corners, or clear separation that follows the original shapes. A genuine double die is created when the die receives misaligned impressions during its preparation. Because the duplication is part of the die itself, it appears raised and consistent on every coin struck from that die. Mechanical doubling is different. It usually looks flat, shelf-like, and pushed to one side. It can appear interesting, but it generally does not carry the same collector importance as a true double die variety. Check Liberty and In God We Trust next. Focus on the ends of the letters and their inner spaces. Genuine doubling may appear as rounded secondary lines or clear notching. Do not confuse glare, scratches, or distorted metal with duplication. Rotate the coin under a single light source. A genuine raised feature remains visible as the lighting angle changes. Now study Lincoln's portrait. Examine the hair, forehead, ear, beard, bow tie, and jacket. Look for raised lines, extra lumps of metal, missing portions of the design, or a second outline around the portrait. A thin raised line may be a die crack. This occurs when the die begins to fracture and metal flows into the opening during the strike. A scratch made after minting cuts down into the surface. Remember this simple rule: a die crack rises above the coin, while ordinary damage usually sinks into it. A larger break near the rim may form a cut. A genuine cut appears as a raised, unstructured mass of metal connected to the edge because part of the die has broken away. Turn the penny over and inspect the Union Shield carefully. Its straight lines make this design especially useful for finding misalignment. Look for doubled stripes, broken lines, missing sections, unusual raised metal, or a second impression of the shield. Pay close attention to the word 1 on the banner. The large letters may reveal doubling or displacement more clearly than the smaller inscriptions. Also inspect United States of America. If several letters are weak or missing while the surrounding design remains strong, the die may have been partially filled with grease or debris. A grease-filled die error occurs when lubricant and metal particles block recessed parts of the die. The affected design may appear faint, incomplete, or completely absent. However, weak lettering on a worn or damaged coin is not automatically an error. The rest of the surface must support the diagnosis. Next, examine the coin's alignment and rim. A normal penny should have a reasonably even border. If the design is shifted and part of the lettering is missing while a blank crescent appears on the opposite side, the coin may be off-center. A very small shift usually brings little added value. A dramatic off-center strike that still shows the full date and mint mark can be considerably more desirable. Look for evidence of a double strike as well. If the coin failed to leave the striking chamber after the first blow, it could have received another strike in a different position. This may produce two dates, overlapping portraits, doubled shield lines, or duplicated lettering. A true double strike should display recognizable elements of the design under real striking pressure. Random dents do not create a complete secondary image. Another possibility is a broad strike. The retaining collar normally controls the coin's diameter and forms its edge. If the collar failed to engage, the metal could spread outward, creating a wider and flatter penny with an unusual rim. Now inspect the edge, which should be completely plain. Search for abnormal thickness, a curved section of missing metal, folds, or expansion. A clipped planchet can show a clean curved area where part of the blank was missing before striking. The design opposite a genuine clip may also appear weak because the metal did not flow normally during the strike. The most important test is the weight. A standard 2014 Lincoln cent should weigh approximately 2.50 grams. This is different from older copper cents, which normally weigh about 3.11 grams. Use a digital scale capable of measuring at least 1/100th of a gram. Make sure the scale is calibrated and placed on a stable surface, then weigh the coin several times. If your penny weighs significantly more or less than 2.50 grams, do not ignore it. An unusually heavy coin might suggest the wrong planchet, an abnormal blank, or another unusual minting situation. A much lighter coin could indicate missing metal, a thin planchet, damage, or corrosion. Weight alone never proves a valuable error. Compare the diameter, thickness, color, edge, and completeness of the design. A wrong planchet coin usually shows several unusual characteristics together. Never clean, polish, sand, or chemically treat the penny. Cleaning creates unnatural brightness and fine scratches that can destroy collector interest. A normal 2014 cent is common. But a dramatic, genuine, and professionally authenticated error could place an ordinary-looking penny into an entirely different category. Keep your scale nearby, because the second coin in this video may require you to compare an older metal standard, and one unexpected number could become the first clue. One tiny letter separates this penny from the famous Philadelphia issue, but that Denver mint mark may lead collectors toward an entirely different set of clues. The next coin under examination is the 1995 United States Lincoln 1-cent penny. With more than 7 billion pieces produced, it is not rare simply because of its date. Yet such enormous production also meant dies, planchets, collars, and striking equipment were working at tremendous speed. That is exactly where unusual mistakes could occur. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln facing right. "In God We Trust" appears above his portrait, Liberty is positioned behind him, and the date 1995 is placed in front of his chest. Directly below the date is the small letter D, identifying the Denver Mint. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, with United States of America above it, E pluribus unum near the top, and 1 cent along the bottom. A tiny seated figure of Lincoln can be seen between the memorial's columns. That figure is intentional and is not an error. Before discussing a possible value reaching $76,200 by the end of 2026, an important distinction must be made. A normal circulated 1995 D penny remains common. Even a brilliant red example needs an exceptional numerical grade to command a major premium. The $76,200 figure should be treated as a speculative possibility only for an extraordinary discovery, such as a dramatic wrong planchet strike, major mule, severe multiple strike, or previously unknown authenticated variety. Do not assume that market prices will automatically rise to that level. Authentication, rarity, condition, collector demand, and documented comparisons determine the actual value. Begin with the mint mark. Use at least 10 power magnification and study the D from several lighting angles. Search for extra raised metal, a secondary outline, or unusual distortion around the letter. However, remember that 1995 mint marks were already incorporated into the working dies rather than being individually punched in the older traditional manner. Therefore, you should not automatically describe every doubled-looking D as a repunched mint mark. A flat shelf beside the letter is more likely mechanical doubling or strike distortion. Random cuts, bubbles, or rough patches may be damage or zinc corrosion. Now examine the date. Study the 1, both 9s, and the 5. Look for clear notching, rounded separation, or a second raised outline that follows the original numbers. The well-known 1995 double die sent from Philadelphia receives more attention, but Denver examples also have attributed double die varieties, including the FS103. On that Denver variety, the doubling is far less dramatic than the famous Philadelphia issue, so precise comparison with certified reference images is essential. Continue toward liberty and in God we trust. A genuine double die should display consistent raised separation in specific letters rather than random doubling across the entire coin. Inspect letter corners for notches and compare the direction of every secondary image. Mechanical doubling normally appears flat and shelf-like, as though part of each letter has been shaved away. Die deterioration may create thick, blurry letters near the rim but does not automatically indicate a valuable variety. Next, inspect Lincoln's portrait. Look around the ear, hair, bow tie, beard, and jacket for die chips, cracks, or displaced metal. A genuine die crack is raised because coin metal flowed into a fracture in the die. A scratch cuts below the original surface. This difference matters because many damaged zinc cents develop sharp lines that viewers mistakenly call mint errors. Copper-plated zinc pennies can also form bubbles beneath their thin copper coating. These plating blisters often appear as rounded lumps and are usually common manufacturing imperfections rather than major collectible errors. Turn the coin over and examine the Lincoln Memorial. The straight columns provide an excellent test for strike movement. Look for repeated columns, overlapping roof lines, or a clearly displaced second image. Study the letters in 1 cent and United States of America. Missing or weak letters may result from a grease-filled die if the surrounding surface remains strong and natural. A worn, corroded, or damaged penny with weak lettering is not the same as a grease strike error. Now check the spacing between the A and M in America. Some collectors hear about valuable close AM and wide AM varieties and immediately check every memorial cent. The reverse style must be evaluated by date and die type, not merely by whether the letters appear close under poor lighting. Do not label a 1995D as a rare AM variety without matching the entire reverse, including the designer's initials and other diagnostic details, to a recognized reference. Next, inspect the rim. If part of the date or inscriptions is missing while a blank crescent appears opposite it, the penny may have been struck off center. A minor shift is common and usually carries little premium. A dramatic off-center strike that preserves the date and D is much more desirable. A broad strike may appear wider and flatter because the retaining collar failed to contain the metal. A true broad strike should show natural metal flow rather than evidence of squeezing or hammering after minting. Search for a double strike as well. A genuine example could show two dates, overlapping Lincoln portraits, duplicated memorial columns, or a second rim. The repeated design must have been created under striking pressure, not by ordinary impacts. Then examine the plain edge for folds, missing sections, exposed zinc, or abnormal thickness. A curved missing section may suggest a clipped planchet, especially when weakness appears directly opposite the clip. Jagged cuts with bright exposed metal usually indicate later damage. Finally, weigh the penny. A standard 1995D cent should weigh approximately 2.50 grams. Its diameter should be about 19 millimeters, and its composition is primarily zinc covered by a thin copper plating. Use a calibrated digital scale and repeat the measurement. A significantly heavier or lighter coin could indicate the wrong planchet, an unusually thin blank, missing metal, or serious environmental damage. Compare its weight with its diameter, thickness, color, and design completeness. Never clean or polish the coin. Preserve it by the edge, photograph every unusual detail, and place it in a PVC-free holder. A regular 1995D does not automatically carry a 5-figure value. But a spectacular and certified error could create an entirely different market category. Keep watching closely, because the final penny may reveal its most important clue before you even place it under a microscope. The year 2008 quietly marked the end of an era. It was the final year the Lincoln Memorial appeared on circulating United States pennies before 4 special designs arrived for Lincoln's bicentennial in 2009. That historical position gives this modern-looking cent a stronger story than most people realize, but history alone does not make it valuable. The coin completing our 3-piece search is the 2008 D Lincoln 1-cent penny from the Denver Mint. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln faces right. In God We Trust curves above his portrait, Liberty appears behind him, and the date 2008 is placed in front of his chest. Directly below the date is the small letter D. This identifies Denver and is completely normal. The reverse carries Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design. United States of America appears above the building, E pluribus unum is positioned near the top, and 1 cent appears along the bottom. Between the memorial's central columns, a tiny seated figure of Lincoln can be seen. This is an intentional feature and should never be advertised as an extra person or hidden mint error. More than 2.8 billion 2008 D cents were produced, so the date and mint mark alone are not rare. Most circulated examples remain worth 1 cent, while attractive uncirculated pieces need exceptional surfaces and color to earn meaningful premiums. The suggested value of up to $32,000 by the end of 2026 must therefore be approached carefully. No normal 2008 D penny is guaranteed to reach that amount. Such a price might only become plausible for a spectacular and professionally authenticated error, perhaps a dramatic wrong planchet strike, a major multiple strike, an unusual mule, or another discovery with extremely few known examples. Begin the examination around the date and mint mark. Use strong side lighting and at least 10 power magnification. Study the 2, both zeros, and the 8 for notching, rounded separation, or a second raised outline. A genuine double die originates during die preparation, so its duplicated details are part of the design itself. They should appear raised and consistent rather than scraped or flattened. Mechanical doubling usually has a shelf-like appearance. It may look as though one side of a number has been pushed downward or shaved away. This is common and generally carries much less collector interest. Inspect Liberty and In God We Trust next. The ends and inner corners of letters are better diagnostic areas than smooth open fields. Now study the Denver mint mark. Because the D was incorporated into the die using modern production methods, do not identify every thick or doubled-looking mint mark as a traditional repunched mint mark. A flat shelf may come from machine doubling, while rough bubbles can result from deterioration of the copper plating. The 2008 D is a zinc-based cent covered with a very thin copper layer. That construction creates several forms of damage that are commonly mistaken for rare errors. Small rounded bumps may be plating blisters. Dark pits, exposed silver-gray zinc, and rough edges may indicate corrosion. These can look dramatic in photographs, but they are usually environmental or manufacturing defects rather than major collectible errors. Check Lincoln's portrait for something more convincing. Look near the hair, ear, bow tie, beard, and shoulder for raised die cracks or chips. A true die crack rises above the surface because metal entered a fracture in the die during striking. A scratch cuts below the original surface. Run no tools across the coin, simply tilt it under the light to determine whether a line rises or sinks. A large raised metal area connected directly to the rim could be a cud, created when a section of the die broke away. A genuine cud has no normal design inside the raised area and must connect with the edge. Turn the penny over and use the memorial's architecture as a measuring grid. Check whether the columns remain straight and evenly separated. Search for repeated columns, overlapping roof lines, a displaced second building, or doubled lettering. The reverse is especially useful for identifying a true multiple strike. If the penny received another blow after moving inside the press, portions of the memorial, inscriptions, or rim could appear in two positions. Ordinary impacts cannot recreate complete columns or readable secondary letters under minting pressure. Inspect 1 cent closely. The wide letters provide good places to identify notching, die chips, or missing design. If one or more letters are weak while nearby surfaces remain sharply struck, grease or debris may have blocked part of the die. A genuine grease-filled die effect usually looks smooth and naturally weak, not scratched away. Now examine the initials FG near the memorial. Weak or missing initials alone do not prove a rare variety. Die wear, grease, circulation, or damage may all reduce these small details. Move next to the rim and overall shape. An off-center strike shows the design shifted away from the middle, normally leaving a blank crescent on one side and missing design on the opposite side. A tiny misalignment offers little premium, but a dramatic example preserving the complete date and D can be much more desirable. A broad strike occurs when the collar fails to contain the planchet. The penny may appear wider, flatter, and surrounded by an unusual spread-out border. Inspect the edge for abnormal thickness, folds, missing curved sections, or exposed zinc. A genuine clipped planchet often has a smooth curved absence where metal was missing before the strike. Design weakness may appear directly opposite the clip, a feature collectors call the Blakesley effect. Jagged cuts, sharp tool marks, or bright exposed metal usually indicate damage after minting. The most powerful screening test is weight. A normal 2008 D penny should weigh approximately 2.50 grams, measure around 19 millimeters, and have a plain edge. Use a calibrated digital scale on a level surface and weigh the coin several times. A substantially heavier or lighter result could suggest the wrong planchet, an unusually thin blank, missing metal, or serious corrosion. Compare the result with the coin's diameter, thickness, color, and completeness of design. A major weight difference is a reason to investigate, not automatic proof of a $32,000 treasure. Never clean, polish, scrape, or chemically treat the penny. Cleaning can destroy original surfaces and remove evidence needed for authentication. Handle it only by the edge, photograph both sides under clear lighting, record its precise weight, and protect it in a PVC-free holder. Among the 2014, 1995 D, and 2008 D cents shown today, the true winner will not necessarily be the oldest or brightest. It will be the coin whose unusual details survive careful examination and professional verification. Check your change, compare the official weights, and tell us which of these 3 pennies you found. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because another ordinary-looking cent may already be waiting in your collection with a mistake no one has recognized yet.